So I'm very pleased to read that there's a new bill that addresses something I was very angry about this past year during the pandemic. So, new law will reduce the use of single-use utensils, condiments, and straws beginning January 1st. Now, it doesn't ban any of these things. So you go to a fast food or a sit-down restaurant, and instead of automatically including utensils, condiments, and straws, you can still ask for them. Now, I used to love Five Guys. Now, the problem is that during the pandemic, they stopped putting the condiments outside because they didn't want people to have to touch things, right? And they would always throw like hundreds and hundreds of packs of ketchup, which I don't like, in my bag. And I always felt bad about throwing them out. I sometimes would leave them on the counter just in case anybody would take them. But you got to remember, we're in a pandemic. Nobody wants to touch something that you put on the counter. So I was probably only littering the store more than anything else. Now, you might argue, why not just ask them not to give them to you? I do. The problem is that when I go to the restaurant alone, okay, I'll bring it up. I don't want any ketchup. The problem is that I also like to go to Five Guys as a social event, right, with my colleagues, bring a date there, or any number of events. Or maybe I might have feelings with the person working behind the counter and don't want to cause a scene, right? So it should have been the other way around, right? If you want ketchup, you can always ask for it, right? Why does it have to be automatic, right? Now, I do like using a fork, though, at the Five Guys. Maybe I'll think about bringing my own fork. I could even bring one that's made of solid silver, because eating a small amount of silver does have health benefits. So I'll have to think about how I address that. One problem I do have with the forks is that they used to be outside. Now you got to ask for them, right? Now, I have dietary restrictions, and I would prefer if people change their gloves before either working on the fries. The fries are usually not a big deal because they have a specialized fry cook usually at the Five Guys. But I'll usually want to ask for a fork. Now, I got to be careful how I ask for it. Do you have any forks? They're very quick. They just grab it. So I'll say, hello, would you mind changing your gloves because I want a fork and I have some restrictions. Now, again, you get into the problem. If I'm going there alone, I don't mind that. I love practicing talking to people about my dietary restrictions. I do. I love educating people about it. But not when I'm in the middle of a job interview or a date or, during a busy hour. Especially some of these people, you got to understand the average demographics of somebody working behind the counter at Five Guys. They get insanely curious about that. They want to talk more about it. And see, you would never do that with any other sort of difference in life, right? Can you imagine you see a customer that's maybe a different race from somebody you've never seen, or a different sexual orientation? Maybe you see somebody who is not only LGBTQ, but in a group marriage, kind of, you got 5 or 6 people hugging and kissing each other, and you dig into that, right? You would never feel that was politically correct to do, but when it's a dietary restriction, people seem to not have any problems with it. And it's a big. If I'm going alone, I don't mind educating people. I really don't. I wish people would be more conscious about differences in diet. Again, the problem is that it sometimes doesn't flow with the activities of going to Five Guys, right? Now, in an ideal world, in order to work as a food server, we should have some ideas on education about dietary differences, whether they be allergies or religious differences. Unfortunately, we don't seem to hold that kind of standard in most food service jobs, right? For I don't know what reason. At the very least, we should educate about being sensitive that these concepts exist, right? But that's another story for another time. At least I'll have one less concern to worry about. I don't know. I'll have to think about how I request the forks, right? I always have to say
changing gloves first. If I say forks, they're just going to grab it, and then I have to start all over again, right? And it's kind of like, but now that it's going to be more acceptable to bring your own utensils, right? Maybe bringing a silver fork to a job interview won't stick out as so awkward anymore, right? Now that this is in place.